Hi, welcome back to my channel, Stitch and Style by me, Nadia, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the jumpsuit that I wore to the gathering. So I had an absolutely fantastic time at the gathering, which was a social event that was run by Ali, who is Thimbers on Instagram and was a contestant on the Great British Sewing Bee, and Sam, who is Frugalissima on YouTube and also has the business Stitch Make Create, and also Donna, Size Me Sewing. And yeah, it was just such a lovely do that we had. So what I really liked about it, there was no pressure to make anything fancy or special, but I did want to create a nice outfit for the night, and I had a real trouble deciding what to make. I kept looking at fabrics and patterns and I really couldn't decide. So in the end I chose this fabric here that you can see, which is a viscose that I got from Rainbow Fabrics not too long ago, and you can see that it's got all these little hearts and it's black and white, which is my favourite colour combination. I really wanted to try this pattern, which is from Maison Fauve, and it's the Mia blouse and dress, and you can see it's got this nice plunging back neckline and a little bow, and I love the style of it. It does come a version with like a little scarf piece or just like a little collar band. So I was going to make the collar band with the low back neckline and the dress version, and I cut it out in this material, and I was really excited. I wanted to try it on. I wasn't 100% sure with my pattern and fabric pairing. I spent ages on the back neckline getting that all neat, stay stitching, making sure that I wasn't stretching it out at all, and it looked really neat. I was really happy with it. And once I'd sewn the side seams together and the shoulder seams, I slipped it on and tried it on, and I was just not really feeling it at all. I think for me it's not the pattern, it's more the pattern and the fabric combination for me. Now this dress is a very similar dress to the dress that I made for the dressmaker's ball, and I actually, just to check sizing, I actually compared the pattern pieces and it was almost identical shape, the actual dress part of it. Now why I feel like my dressmaker's ball dress worked for me but this one didn't is because this is in quite a floaty, drapey material that doesn't have much structure, whereas my ball dress it was quite a heavy material, quite a thick material as well, and it just provided a little bit more structure, plus I had the lining as well to give it that extra structure. And I'm really learning that a more structured garment, both in terms of like the weight of the fabric and the structure of like a collar and everything, suits me so much better than a very loose and drapey kind of fabric and style of clothing. Now it is interesting that I've kind of come to that conclusion because I've always kind of known that, and that's the type of garment that I've always been drawn to. But I've been watching a few vlogs recently about the kibby body type. Now I'm not sure exactly what body type I am, and I don't always like go with what's recommended for me as well, in terms of like my body shape and everything. But I do feel like there's something in that structure that I am drawn to and I prefer to wear. So yeah, it wasn't the dress, and I will try and make the dress maybe in a different fabric, or I might make the top version. So then I had a bit of a dilemma of what do I make instead. I was thinking I might not be able to get anything out of the fabric that I had left. But the good thing is the dress comes in one piece at the front, so it was quite a big piece. And I was thinking about what patterns I've already made and I've enjoyed, especially in a viscose fabric. And one of the things that I made a couple of years ago that I have worn and really enjoyed but want to make again, because I made quite a few mistakes with the previous make, was the Vogue jumpsuit. I'll just get the pattern. So it's this Vogue very easy jumpsuit, which is V9075, and you can see it comes in a jumpsuit version or a dress, and it's either got little sleeves or it's sleeveless. Now this came free with Love Sewing magazine, and it was the reason why I bought the magazine, because I saw the jumpsuit and I thought, oh yes, that's right up my street, I'm gonna have to have that. So the only really disappointing thing with this one is the sizing, and I think it's the case for a lot of the Vogue patterns. So it goes from a size 6 only up to a size 22. Body measurements for a size 22 are bust 44, waist 37, hip 46. So yeah, it's not a very size inclusive pattern at all. You can see here from the line drawing that it's princess seams, it's got side pockets that are joined in at the waistband, which is really good. It's got a lined bodice and it's a back zipper, 22 inch, and hook and eye, but I will talk a bit about that later in the changes that I made. So I remember when I first made this jumpsuit, and this was my first commercial pattern that I ever made. So I was expecting to be told when to finish my seams, but I wasn't, and I only realised as I got to the end of the garment, and I thought, oh, what about all these unfinished seams, and had to go back and try and do them. And on the pattern pieces, it gives you the finished garment measurements. So I know that from watching Jess has made this jumpsuit, So What If I Sew, and I think she mentioned on her vlog at the time that the finished garment measurements are on the pattern pieces. So I cut a size 14. Well, the first one I made, I did 14 grading to 16 at the hip, but it ended up too big. Part of that problem was it ending up too big was because the size 14 waist measurement, finished garment measurement on the pattern piece said 30 inch, and I was a little bit worried that it was going to come up a bit too small, because my body measurements are between a size 30 and a size 31. So yeah, I didn't want there to be any obviously negative ease, because there's no stretch in the fabric. So I was being really cautious with my seam allowances, and even though it allows 5/8 of an inch, I was only sewing up with 1 centimetre seam allowance, or 3/8. So when I'd finished the jumpsuit, it was just far too big. Now I tried to do a little bit of fitting after I'd made it up, but that wasn't 100% successful, and it still is too big. Now I do wear it with a belt, and it's not so obviously big, but it really does have a lot of room. I'll insert some footage that I took yesterday of me putting the jumpsuit on, so you can kind of see the fitting issues that I had with that. So I'm in the first jumpsuit I made, and one of the first problems that I actually experienced was choosing a lining fabric, because I'd never lined any garment before and I didn't know what material to use. And this is a viscose material, but I lined it with just a plain cotton fabric. Now the lining is heavier than the viscose fabric, and I think that turned out to be quite a big mistake, because just the way it hung on everything, it just doesn't hang very well. That's the waist seam there, and it is supposed to be quite fitted, but you can see like I've got a thumb's worth on each side. I've just got so much kind of room in it. It is just a little bit big, and a little bit big on the over the bust as well. I've got plenty of room in there. Now the shoulders sit nice. I've got enough around like my shoulders at the centre back, and I've got enough room around my arms as well. So it's fitted nicely in some places, but in other places it's just far too big. Looking at the sizing for the size 14, it says bust size 36 for a size 14. Well, I'm a 38, waist size 28 and I'm a 30, and hip 38 and I'm a 43. Yeah, all of my measurements are bigger than the size 14 on the packet. So yeah, please do bear that in mind if you're making it. I'd recommend just making the lining up, because then you can test the fit on your bust and your waist. The hip doesn't matter so much because you've got 6 pleats all together on the front and 6 pleats all together on the back, and the trousers are wide, so you don't need to worry about your hip measurement too much. But maybe before you commit to making the whole jumpsuit, I'd perhaps just do a little test in the lining, which is what I did on the second occasion. And actually the first time I sewed it up with the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, the size 14, it fit perfectly. The only bit actually that didn't fit, well, I thought, oh no, I've got a big problem with where the seam lines are across my bust, but I'd actually got the lining piece on the wrong way around, so that was the back, and I was like, phew, once I'd realised. So I'll actually just pop on the jumpsuit now so you can see the fit on me. And last time I made this jumpsuit, I had added too much length below the waist, between the waist and the crotch. So I had to take a lot of it back out. So I knew that, and I redid the pattern pieces. So the adjustments were, I added, I think it was about 5 centimetres to the bodice pieces. I also did a sway back adjustment this time. I wasn't so familiar with the sway back adjustment when I first made this jumpsuit. I think I took 2.5 centimetres out of the centre back as a sway back adjustment, and I added a good couple of inches to the length of the trousers. I didn't actually need, once I'd added the length between the shoulder and the waist, I didn't actually need any additional length between the waist and the crotch. So yeah, it comes up quite long in the body from the waist to the crotch seam. So if I would also just do a little bit of measuring to check the fitting there. I had assumed that I would need some, but I didn't. The other change that I made to this pattern was it comes in a short sleeve, but as you can see I've got a long sleeve, and I decided to keep them kind of like loose and not put any elastic or a cuff on it. And part of the reason was because I liked the way that that kind of mirrored the shape of the trouser. I actually used the pattern pieces from the Mia dress pattern because I'd already got those cut out. So I put the Vogue pattern on top of the pattern pieces that I'd already cut. I cut out the sleeve head bit, which was smaller than the sleeve head of the Mia pattern piece, and I just used the length of the pattern piece of the Mia dress and the width as well. So yeah, it's kind of a mashup of the both of the sleeves. And I would definitely keep this sleeve in future. I think it's like the perfect length for me. It just comes below my elbow. So in terms of fabric requirements, I made my previous jumpsuit in 3 meters, but it was a squeeze for me to get, with the increased length, to get that out of 3 meters. and I didn't have any left over. It also has pockets, which is brilliant, and I did the pocking lining pieces in the lining of the dress because I don't think I had enough fabric to cut out the fabric, to cut those out in fabric. Now fortunately I had 5 meters of this fabric, and obviously I'd already cut into it, and I've got extended pieces, so yeah, I didn't have really anything left over. And because the leg pieces are so wide, I was really struggling to get it all out of the pre-cut pieces, and I think I had about less than a 2 meter piece left. So yeah, I was pleased I was just able to squeeze this out of the fabric that I had, and it meant that none of it went to waste, which was brilliant. So let me turn around and just show you the fit on it. So here we go, and as you can see, it fits nicely on the waist and nicely on the bust, nicely on the back. I don't have any excess fabric really, I don't think. There's my invisible zip, which is not actually the best, but not too bad. Now in both cases I really struggled with the top of the back of the neckline. So just at the top, now you can see I've kind of tucked it in at the back. The reason for that is because as it's originally drafted, you can see here actually it's standing a bit proud, and when it comes like up to here, it stands away from my neck. And I know that other people had mentioned the same happened for them too. And on my previous version, I'll just get it, you can see here that I've just tucked part of the back neckline down and stitched that down, and I haven't got a hook and eye at the top. It's just the invisible zip stops here, and I felt like that worked better. So when I made this version, I altered the neckline slightly, but I was still finding that there was something not quite right about it. And when I had my zip up to the top, right to the top, like I wanted it, it didn't go down far enough for me to get my hips into it, especially because I'd lengthened the body so much to fit on my waistline. I'm not 100% happy with how the neckline is finished on this. I'll just show you again from the back. I think next time I'm going to redraft the neckline, take it down a bit, and maybe I'll just do a scoop rather than have it come up high. But I would definitely recommend this pattern. I really enjoyed wearing it. I put a wide belt on it and with my heeled sandals, and yeah, I felt really rather fabulous. And I also put my Sorrento jacket on because I wanted to wear a jacket I'd made as well. I just wanted to mention the lining fabric that I used for this, and it's a really nice lining fabric. It was some cupro, I think you call it bemberg, that I got from Calico Laine. Cupro is a breathable fabric, and it's very slippy, and it's not the kind of, I've had cupro before from Rainbow Fabrics. That's had a little bit more body and it was a little bit thicker. This one was quite a bit thinner, but it feels really nice, and I'm really happy with the lining fabric that I used. So this is going to be coming with me on holiday, and yeah, I'm going to enjoy wearing this on an evening. I'm really happy with my outfit, and I hope you found my review of this pattern interesting. I did get a lot of compliments when we were at the gathering, and thanks again to Donna, Sam and Ali for such a fantastic do. We had a lovely time. I did go to Fabworks in the day and get a couple of things, which was yeah, very exciting. I've got lots of things coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got our run, and hopefully we'll start seeing some entries for Oh So Me 23. I'm really excited about seeing everybody's makes and what adjustments you've made. And I'm also hoping to participate in Sew Selfless April challenge, and if I've got time, also the Sew a Blouse in April challenge. So it's very, very busy in April, but I'm very excited about all the things that are coming up in the next week or so. Hopefully I'll get time to film a little catch-up vlog to let you know some of the things that I've been up to. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you next time. Bye!